y'all? Welcome back to Kentucky Fried Wargaming, where two guys who aren't qualified to talk about anything decide to talk about a game with hard math and chance. I'm Joe.
And I'm John.
And we come to you with maybe the weirdest of our faction focuses today. One that you might have clicked on just because you're confused about how it works. And don't worry, so were we.
Yes.
But fortunately, I think once you get into the nitty-gritty of what this actually is, it is not very complicated. It's positioned weird in the field of armies. Because it's not really an army.
It is not actually an army. You cannot make a full army out of this.
It is more like a bench of soldiers that if you are an Imperium player, you could pull from. And that actually ties into the fluff rather nicely.
Yes.
So, John, it says it on the 10, but what are the agents of the Imperium? Other than people who work for the Imperium?
So the agents of the Imperium is kind of a catch-all for things like rogue traders, inquisitors,
assassins,
space cops.
I love the assassins. I think they're cool.
The assassins are neat. A bunch of different smaller sub-factions within the Imperium itself that are not big enough to have their own force and also don't really make sense to be dedicated to a single force. If you read books like Eisenhorn or Ravnor or the Beckman series, or if you've read Assassinorum or seen the just cool assassin models or heard the stories or read any of the Warhammer crime novels or seen all of the many kill team boxes that have come out, this is kind of where all of that fits in.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't really pinpoint one specific flavor, except for they're all kind of just like mercenaries in a way. They all work for the same big fascist space empire, but they also don't have that same allegiance. They all have their own allegiances, and they're selling it temporarily to these other factions.
Yeah.
And you'll see some of your favorite characters. Eisenhorn is an option that you can take in here.
Yeah, I think it's kind of representative of the Imperium as a whole, that, in theory, everyone should be arm in arm, kumbaya, working for the same goal, but in actuality, it's different groups
They're at
squabbling.
each other's throats.
Yeah, absolutely groups squabbling for power and pull. Same here. And I think that is what leads us into the rule. And it's only one faction rule. And it's a simple one. And it's what allows this to exist. Agents of the Imperium. So the rule itself is assigned agents, and the text is over there, but what this really does is it's what allows it to work the way that it does. If you are an army that has the Imperium keyword, you can include units from this index in your army without breaking your faction rules for your force. But there are limits to how many you can take, because again, this isn't meant to be a full army. And you can see over there what those are. It scales by the size of the game you're playing. So let's say you're playing a strike force mission. You can take maximum 2 retinue units and 2 characters. And if some of those characters are assassins, none of them can be your warlord. That's the entirety of the rule. It just allows you to kind of pick from this deep bench of units without breaking all of the other games all of the other systems that the game is built on.
Yes.
And normally there'd be some other sort of discussion in there about detachment rules and stuff, but I guess we just got to get right on to the datasheets, because that is the entirety of this force, is the datasheets.
Yeah, and the datasheet I've picked is a named Inquisitor. It's not Eisenhorn. I really like Eisenhorn. There's a lot to explain as a datasheet in here. But who I did pick is Inquisitor Diaz, an Inquisitor who has in power armor with a Nemesis Demon Hammer. That's a Grey Knight hammer.
He's a beefy guy.
He's very beefy. He also has a double-headed Cyber Eagle, which is objectively cool.
I just heard metallic red-tailed hawk screeches in my head.
He did. It's awesome.
Someone out there got that joke. I hope y'all enjoyed it. For my bird peeps.
So what it does, first, defensively, not very much there. He only has 4 wounds, a T3. Yeah, there's a 2-up save, but that's not that much compared to other stuff. but he's going to be in a unit, and that's the important bit. And he has a little bit of shooting via Psychic Blast, which will come in clutch on occasion. Not the primary reason you're bringing him. And his melee weapon allows him to defend himself and be somewhat of a threat if he got to swing, which is, again, pretty good, but not the main reason you're going to use him. The main reason you're going to use him is Authority of the Inquisition, Malefic Wardings, and Spy Network. Right? Authority of Inquisition means you can put him in any transport that is Imperium. It's great. Whew. And his entire unit can do that as well. Malefic Wardings gives the unit he's in a 5-up, feel no pain against psychic attacks and any attacks made by demon models. So if you have like a unit of Terminators and you know regularly that you're going to be fighting Chaos, you probably want to bring this guy. The demon models will then have a really, really, really hard time cracking that. That means Chaos Space Marines have a ton of demon models with a demon keyword. A struggle. Chaos Demons, a ton of demons. World Eaters,
Thousand
Death Guard,
Suns,
Thousand
Death
Suns.
Guard,
Yeah, like they all have demon models that will struggle to kill this unit because he is in there. And then on top of all of that, even if you're not playing against demons, the Spy Network rule is really, really, really good. What it lets you do is that each time your opponent gains a CP from any source, right? So like Guardsmen using the Voxcaster, any of that kind of stuff. You roll a d6 on a 2-up, you also gain a CP. So this makes him really good in armies that are missing the ability to like use free stratagems, get free CP or generate more, or find ways of getting CP. Like this guy will make it much, much easier.
Yeah. He's a good all-around pick depending on the situation that you're in.
Yeah.
And I think that's the case for a lot of these, that they're kind of like niche tech pieces that you just go grab and recruit as you need them.
Yeah.
And it's no different from my pick. But you can't have me out here picking Inquisitors and stuff. I ain't gonna do it. I'm here for the Assassins. Yeah. Now we're talking. Souped up Space Assassins is sick.
Like Ezio Spaghettio?
Hell yeah! Ezio Auditore de Firenze. Let's go. But Ezio didn't have a sniper rifle, and this one does. I'm picking the Vindicare Assassin. God, Ezio would have been way cooler with a sniper rifle. The Vindicare Assassin, in fluff, simply put, is like a heavily modified, superbly trained, incredibly lethal sniper. And that's the whole existence of this sort of assassin, is to kill people at long range, just taking impossible shots. Like, I think one of the longest shots in human history is like 1.5 miles. That's nothing for a Vindicare assassin.
Yeah.
They've got
these guys are like
best
raised from
best
childhood. Yeah, raised from childhood to shoot sniper rifle.
And it's perfectly molded to their size, their hand, their preference. And they're given custom loaded ammo that can like break the physics of the world almost. It's nutty if you read some of the stories about them. And normally when you have sort of big grandstanding fluff like that, you read the ruler scroll or the data sheet and go, that ain't how I pictured it. Not the case here. This is exactly how I pictured it. So he's got a couple of cool trick abilities. First is Deadshot, which says that if he critical hits one of his sniper attacks, well, any of his ranged attacks, but let's be honest, you use the sniper rifle a vast majority of the time, you add a flat 3 to the damage characteristic of that gun. Just flat 3.
Just done. Most characters have like 4, 5 wounds.
That puts his Exodus rifle on D3 plus 6. That's nutty.
You're probably going to kill most characters.
A vast majority of them. And if they're not dead, they're almost dead. And furthermore, the unit hit has to take a battle shock test immediately because, dear lord, your life flashed before your eyes. Second is his Shieldbreaker rule, which is one of his special rounds in the lore. You can only do it once per battle because these rounds are very, very expensive and rare. But once per battle, when you select a target for his sniper rifle, it can fire the Shieldbreaker round. And if it does, till the end of the phase, each time the model makes an attack with that weapon, no saving throws of any kind can be made against the attack. None.
Just done.
And there is an ability in Thousand Suns that can stop someone from making an armor saving throw. This removes all of them. So,
including invulnerables.
No invulns. Whatever your invuln, just gone.
Yeah, but you can still feel no pain it. So you could just be like, I'm tougher than this like super bullet.
Yes, that is the only way to survive his insane bullet. And just the rifle itself has a really respectable profile. It ignores cover always. It has devastating wounds always. Heavy, so he's hitting on like one-ups functionally. And precision, so he can pick characters out of units on the move.
Yeah.
Just his only job is to be deployed somewhere and then start to kill characters one at a time.
Yes.
Strategically pick apart your enemy's little power pairs and make their sort of tactics fall apart. And all of the assassins kind of work that way, but they pick a different type of thing they're there to answer. And that's where they get their utility. Kind of like the Inquisitor is there to handle sort of anti-demon stuff.
Yeah, this entire codex is just tech pieces. Like,
all the way down.
Yeah, and that's really like the tip that I have is that you're not going to play this as a force. You're going to open up and crack and open this index when you have like an extra 200 points or 100 points in your list, and you're looking for a thing that you're trying to solve, like a problem you're trying to solve, or a thing to be prepared for, or like a weakness to make up for. And then you're going to come in here and you're going to grab a tech piece, and you're going to slap it into your list to really like give you a little bit more oomph.
Yeah. It's the entirety
really
of its point. Yeah, my tip is exactly the same thing, essentially. It's just, you're going to pick these for a purpose. Just know your purpose. You know, wherever your army's lacking. For example, like I want to play Custodes. I don't really have access to precision to kill characters from the enemy army. I don't have snipers or anything. That might be a reason I would come in here and pick the sniper. To fill that niche that I don't have. And you'll find that for yourself in your own forces, and that's when you'll come here. I hope this has been helpful, because this is a weird faction.
Very weird.
You know, if you're playing an Imperium force, you should know what your options are, and this is one of them, so I really hope that this has sort of set it straight for all of you. And obviously you can't play the faction, but if you're looking for information on other factions that might be giving you some sort of trouble or any amount of confusion, please check out the channel. There are many other videos covering all of the other factions for 10th edition. We are working our way through them, and we are more than happy to help you however we can. And for now, that's been all of our opinions. Bonafide, Kentucky Fried. We'll see you on the next one.